Okay, we are ready to start. Thank you everyone for coming and for being excited to be here. I can hear by your voices. In the words of Fergie Oliver, how about those Blue Jays? I think this version of the Blue Jays is like the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. You know, it's not like we do have a couple superstars, they have a couple superstars, but it's the way the team plays, and I want to be on a team like that in my life. Maybe we'll be that kind of team today. My name is Rob Snoek. I'll be your MC for today, the 32nd Annual Canadian Disability Hall of Fame Luncheon, brought to you by the Canadian Foundation for Physically Disabled Persons and presented by CIBC. My background includes a decade representing Canada as a track and field athlete at 3 Paralympic Games, several World Championships, and after my running and jumping career, I jumped into the world of sports broadcasting and have had a chance to commentate on several Olympic and Paralympic Games, and some of my colleagues from CBC, Scott Russell and Brenda Irving, are here as well. And it was one day, 25 or so years ago, that Vim Kochar asked me to serve on the board of directors of the CFPDP, the Canadian Foundation for Physically Disabled Persons, and I've been serving on the board ever since, and it has been a joy and a privilege. If I could be so bold, and I'm going to do the same thing, to ask you to take your cell phone and, if not turn it off, then at the very least put it on silent, we would really appreciate that. If you would like to use the captioning or the cart services on your mobile device, you can do so by scanning the QR code on the back cover of today's event flyer, which is at your table and at your seat. And again, we want to thank the Canadian Hearing Services for making this live captioning available for attendees today. We acknowledge that we're gathering on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples. We wish to recognize the enduring presence of many diverse nations, First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. And now that you've all sat down, if you're able, please rise and help me welcome the special guests, the inductees for the Canadian Disability Hall of Fame, and today's other special guests. Dr. Tom Chau, the 2025 inductee in the Builder category. Kevin J. Collins, had a nice chat with Kevin already, being inducted in the Achiever category. Ina Forrest, the 2025 athlete inductee, 4-time Paralympic medalist in curling. George Presbolowski, co-chair of today's event and a founding board member of the CFPDP. Tony White, also an event co-chair and board member of the Canadian Foundation for Physically Disabled Persons. And the Honorable David Crombie, Chair of the Canadian Disability Hall of Fame. Let's also give a hand to and warmly welcome 5 Paris 2024 Paralympic medal winners and King Clancy Award recipients: Katie Cosgriff, Sebastian Masabi, Reed Maxwell, Shelby Newkirk, and Jesse Zessau. And we'll hear more about the athletes later. I'd also like to recognize the Honorable Vim Kochar, or just Vim, as many of us know him, the visionary founder of the Canadian Foundation for Physically Disabled Persons, who's been volunteering his time as our board chair and CEO for more than 40 years. Now please join me in welcoming Major Beverly Ivany, a director of the Foundation, to the stage for the singing of our national anthem and to say grace.
Please join me in singing our national anthem. Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. And please bow your heads for prayer. Creator God, on this Thanksgiving weekend, we thank you for the gift of life. We thank you for the health that we have to be able to come to this wonderful event here today. We thank you for our land of Canada and what a privileged people we are to be living in this nation. We thank you for our families. We thank you for our friends and new friends that we'll meet today for this great event. And we thank you for the food that has been prepared for us, and we ask that you will bless us. Bless it. And Father, help us to be always a thankful people, and every day to thank you for our many, many blessings, one by one. Amen. Please be seated.
Thank you, Beverly. As always, a national anthem delivered with passion and a prayer delivered with grace. We thank you very much. Before you get talking again on your tables, I want to ask you to look at the middle of your table or somewhere on your table. They're not really piggy banks, but we like to call them piggy banks. And you can make a donation today to the Canadian Helen Keller Centre in cash, or using the credit card slip on your table, or you can donate by texting CHKC to 20222. Got that? CHKC to 20222. What is the CHKC, you may ask? And what does it do? Well, it provides accessible housing, programming, and intervener services for people who are deafblind. The organization is also one of the Canadian Foundation's proudest legacies. It was founded by Vim Kochar with the help from several other passionate individuals who wanted to make a difference. At last year's luncheon, CHKC was just about to break ground on its new $44 million 56-unit affordable and accessible apartment building for people who are deafblind and living with physical disabilities. So what happened? Well, construction started, and now we're just weeks away from completion, and tenants will start moving in once the building is ready. So congratulations to the team leading the project. Exactly. including the CHKC Board Chair, Philip Cork, and the CEO, Jennifer Robbins, both here today. Thank you both, and thank you to your entire team and all the workers. In previous years, with these piggy banks, CIBC piggy banks, we've had many generous donations, and we've had some people, even former Prime Minister Brian Mulroney did this one year, have matched the funds to help us raise tens of thousands of dollars, more than that really. Today, we once again extend that invitation to come forward to match funds up to, say, $5,000. Today, there is also a draw for a door prize, and if you haven't put your business card in the raffle drum yet, please do so during lunch or give it to any member of the CFPDP, but not me, because I'll probably forget to put it in the drum. Today's door prize is a one-night stay at this beautiful Fairmont Royal York Hotel. We will draw, this is important, I have this highlighted. We will draw for the door prize at the end of the luncheon, and you must be here to win the prize. So we'll try to get done by 2 o'clock, and that is when we'll present the prize. Now it's my pleasure to introduce the Honorable Vim Kochar. For the past 41 years, Vim has given his whole heart to Canada's disability community by founding and leading the Canadian Foundation for Physically Disabled Persons. And as he makes his way onto the stage now, let's give Vim a hand.
Thank you, Rob. Ladies and gentlemen, I feel very honored to have the opportunity to welcome you all today. It is a true privilege to see so many friends and supporters all at one time. Congratulations to our 3 remarkable inductees, Dr. Tom Chau, Kevin Collins, and Ina Forrest. They represent the finest example of Canadian achievement. When we created the Canadian Disability Hall of Fame more than 3 decades ago, the vision was clear: to ensure that the accomplishments of Canadians with disabilities and those serving the disability communities are permanently recognized as a part of our national history and who we are as a country. Over the years, the Hall of Fame has become a living record of excellence. We have honored innovators who have advanced science and technology, advocates who have reshaped policy, opportunity, and communities, and athletes who have represented Canada with distinction on the world stage. Together, these leaders remind us that progress is built when every person has the opportunity to contribute fully and reach their dreams. After more than 40 years of this work, what strikes me is how the Canadian Disability Hall of Fame is not just recognition of the past, it is also the responsibility for the future. Every inductee challenges us to ask important questions. How do we continue to remove barriers? And how do we ensure that accessibility is not a potential but essential? I am deeply honored that our foundation has been trusted to carry the torch of disability for more than 4 decades. And I promise you, with your support, we will continue for another 40 years and beyond. I invite each of you to play your part for Canada's disability community by opening a door, creating an opportunity, championing accessibility in your own circles, sharing these stories, and yes, continue to support the foundation. That is how we carry this legacy forward. Please keep coming, keep the flame lit. Your support is vital as we continue to work to make Canada the best country in the world for people with disabilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Vim. Your passion, your perseverance never ceases to amaze. We'd like to thank CIBC for being our presenting sponsor. We want to thank CHKC, Canadian Helen Keller Centre, Deloitte, Element Fleet Management, and Scotiabank, our diamond sponsors. And to the Hal Jackman Foundation, our gold sponsor. We thank Post Media, our national media sponsor, for this event. That's right, it takes a village. As well, we thank Canadian Hearing Services for sponsoring the captioning of our ASL interpreters. We welcome them and thank them, Scott Houston and Jamie O'Connell, and greatly appreciate the CART services being provided by Stenotech Captioning. I'd like to draw your attention to the screens for some of the special guests who are with us today. CFPDP would also like to recognize and thank our corporate sponsors for their continued support. But now, please enjoy your lunch. And while you're doing so, please learn more about our inductees in the magazines at your table. Bon appetit. Enjoy. By the way, I'm seeing a lot of empty piggy banks, so you can just get the little slip, and you can just slide it in there if you're so inclined. There you go. Or you can text it to, what did I say? CHKC to 20222. 20222. Yeah. Okay. Hope you enjoyed your lunch, everyone. Before we begin the induction ceremony, I want to introduce several of our previous inductees of the Canadian Disability Hall of Fame who are here today. I was sitting beside one of them. In the back, actually, just reclaiming his seat is Archie Allison from Variety Village. Frank Bruno is here, Paralympian, there he is. The Honorable David Crombie, who will take the stage shortly. Paralympian Josh Dewick. Lawyer extraordinaire Bernie Gluckstein. The Honorable Vim Kochar. Jim Kite is here, former NHLer, of course. Lauren McDonald is here today. Jamie McDougall. Brian McPherson, board member as well of the CFPDP. Tim Rose. Manu Sikand, who I was at the table with. Mark Wafer, and Paralympian Chris Williamson, all here today. And I do apologize if we missed anyone. We didn't mean to. I'd like to invite the Honorable David Crombie, Chair of the Canadian Disability Hall of Fame Selection Board, and Maria Gregory, Senior Director, Client Experience, Strategic Planning at CIBC, our presenting sponsor, to the stage. They're going to help us induct 3 extraordinary individuals to the Canadian Disability Hall of Fame. As our presenters make their way to the stage, I'm pleased to share that we're going to do something new this year, and you see the chairs on the stage. After the inductions, instead of just giving our honorees 1 minute to speak, they're going to sit with us and have a fireside chat. And I'll lead them and ask them some questions and have them maybe tell some stories about what they're passionate about, and we look forward to that. But now, David, the podium is yours.
Thank you very much, Rob, and good early afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let me welcome all of you to the 32nd Annual Canadian Disability Hall of Fame induction ceremonies. Canadians with disabilities make remarkable contributions every day. They build legacies, drive change, advocate for others, and excel in their professional fields and in sport. Many allies, their allies, enhance lives as well, raise awareness, and increase opportunities for all. Each year, we proudly add to this record of achievement, and today we welcome 3 new members to the Hall of Fame. Before I do that, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank all the members of the selection board, which goes through a tremendous number of very impressive record of achievements of a lot of people across the country. I'd like to introduce them to you. I think all of them here, but let me begin by introducing John Downing, Jim Kite, Jamie McDougall, Ruth Ann Onley, Jennifer Robbins, Scott Russell, Jeff Thiessen, and Mark Wafer. They are all with us here today. Would you like to stand up? Please stand up. There. Thank you very much. It's a very impressive group. Now let's meet our inductees. For 2025, first inductee is in the Builder category. Dr. Tom Chau is a senior scientist and Raymond Chang Foundation Chair in Access Innovations at Holland Bloorview Kids Rehabilitation Hospital. He's also a professor at the University of Toronto in biomedical engineering. His research, interesting to me, and I'm sure to you, his research focuses on new ways for children and youth with severe physical handicaps and disabilities to communicate. Dr. Chau's lab has developed numerous access innovations. These include virtual music instruments, which enables children of all abilities to make music. The Hummingbird device, which enables communication through humming, and various brain-computer interfaces, or BCIs, which translate mental activity into communication and control. These innovations led to the launch of the pediatric BCI clinic at Holland Bloorview in 2019. I'm pleased, beyond just pleased, to be able to present to you a remarkable builder to be inducted into the Canadian Disability Hall of Fame, Dr. Chau. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Thank you, Doctor. By the way, you can find out more about Tom and all the other inductees in the Why Not magazine, which is on your table. Now I am pleased to present a remarkable achiever inductee, or achiever inductee for 2025. Kevin J. Collins has dedicated his life to supporting children with disabilities and Easter Seals of Ontario. Born with cerebral palsy, he served as both a local and provincial Easter Seals Timmy in the 1970s, sparking a lifelong commitment to advocacy and leadership. Since then, he has spoken at more than 1,000 places to raise awareness and funds for people with disability. After a successful early career with a major hotel chain, He joined Easter Seals Ontario as manager of corporate and special events, expanding fundraising and access measures to new programs. He then became executive director of Friends of We Care, which unites the food service and hospitality industry to support Easter seals, growing support for it, and more than tripling annual revenues of $1 million. Since 2017, as president and CEO of Easter Seals Ontario, he has continued to champion opportunities for children and youth with physical disabilities. I am pleased to present a remarkable achiever to be inducted into the Canadian Disability Hall of Fame. Congratulations. Fantastic. Our outstanding athlete this year is Ina Forrest. She's our third inductee this year. Ina has been a key member of Canada's national wheelchair curling team since 2007, competing in 4 Paralympic Games and in World Championships as well. She has helped Canada win 4 Paralympic medals, 2 gold and 2 bronze, and 6 World Championship medals, including 3 gold and 3 silver. She has also represented Team BC, winning 4 national medals. Her accomplishments earned her the Canadian Paralympic Committee's Top Canadian Female Athlete Award after Sochi in 2014, and induction into the Canadian Curling Hall of Fame in 2016. Ina was also a flag bearer in the 2022 Beijing Paralympics. She gives back, as always, as a supporter of Plan International since the 1980s, and was elected to the Canadian Paralympic Committee Athlete Council in 2020. I'm pleased beyond belief because when you meet her, you see what kind of ability she has. She was pleased to present a remarkable athlete, a remarkable person to be inducted into the Canadian Disability Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, they're all gathered together. This is a big round of support. And now back to Chairman Rob.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Maria. And congratulations to the inductees. So now I'm going to slide into this empty chair, and we're going to have a little fireside chat. In our rehearsal earlier today, we had a little fire going here, but the management wasn't a big fan of that. So I think we're maybe going to have maybe like you know how at Christmas time you have the fireside? We're going to try if we can find a fire. There we go. All right. Everybody have a mic? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Congratulations to all of you, and welcome to the stage. We're going to try this. My colleague Scott Russell did something like this at the Valentine Gala last year, and apparently it went well. And so I've been elected to do it today. I'm going to start with Dr. Tom Chau. We hear so much about technology these days, everywhere we look, every time we turn our phones on. Your team, you and your team, have developed some fascinating tools to empower people with disabilities. And one of those, we heard about one of them from David, but also the BCI, the Brain-Computer Interface. That's fascinating to me. And I'm wondering, how does it work, and how do you use it to help kids at Holland Bloorview?
Thank you, Rob. A brain-computer interface basically is a technology that can measure your brain activity and decode the intention behind that brain activity. So, for example, if a child wants to move a toy car or wants to paint on a piece of canvas or play a video game or play a piece of music, the brain-computer interface is able to detect the thoughts, the thought patterns that correspond to those activities, and allow children who otherwise wouldn't be able to access any of those activities the opportunity to participate.
And it's kind of non-invasive too, isn't it?
Yes, well, there are invasive types, but we use a non-invasive version where the child just wears a headset that has sensors that are on the scalp to detect the brain activity.
Okay, great. Well, we'll get back to you in a second. I'm going to ask Kevin J. Collins a question, inducted into the Achiever category. Kevin, you and I talked briefly before. We were both Easter Seal Timmies. I was, I think, 4 years old in Bowmanville Rotary Club. Kevin was for the entire province of Ontario, the Easter Seals Timmy. If you're not from Ontario and you don't know about Easter Seals, this is a big deal. And Kevin, I want to ask, how big of a deal was it for you, and how did that shape you?
Well, without a doubt, it's allowed me to be where I am today. Growing up in a small community, I grew up in Aurelia, and the local service club there was the Aurelia Kiwanis Club that was supporting Easter Seals. And so I was their local Timmy from 73, 74, and 75. And, getting to ride in the back of a convertible, the Santa Claus parade, and just all sorts of different things. But more importantly, allowed me, obviously, to gain the confidence to be able to speak in front of people, to not hide because I had a disability, but to share because I had a disability, and inform. And, as I got older and through my career, I mean, being where I am at now as the president of Easter Seals, it's more for me about being able to mentor young kids so that they understand that if they have a dream and a goal, don't let anybody tell you can't do it. You're the only one. There's tons of people, like everybody in this room, that will support your efforts.
I love that. Not hide because you have a disability, but share because you have a disability. That's great. Ina, your career, stellar career, from the Vernon Curling Club, right? That's your home club. 4 Paralympic medals, 4 sets of games. And you have to realize, if you win a bronze medal, you've also won the last game of the tournament. So you've gone to 4 Paralympic Games and always won the last game. Either it was the gold medal game or the bronze. That is huge, because then you go home with hardware and you go home with a smile on your face, even if you had a bit of a disappointment. But one of those was in Vancouver in 2010. And you had an opportunity to do what few of us have ever had, which is to win a gold medal at home. I want to ask you about that, but I also want, if I'm not mistaken, you guys were leading 8-1 in that game, and you won 8-7. So it got a little dicey, but tell me about the moment that you knew that you won. That's the key. You won. But tell me about the moment you knew that it was gold at home.
Well, playing first Paralympics and being at home was a tremendous achievement for our whole team to be there, and we were thoroughly happy to do it in our province because most of the team was actually from BC as well. Going into that final game and being up as much as we were, I'm not sure if it was a letdown moment or not, or if just Korea came out and really started to play in the end of it. But we do like to keep our fans in the game, and so that was our job that day, to bring them in and then win at the end. And we're
them
proud to do that.
engaged. Yeah, nicely done. Okay. Dr. Chau, back to you. I read a story that you told about a young man who was nonverbal, had cerebral palsy affecting all of his limbs, but you were able to help him to make a breakthrough. Do you remember that story? And can you take us through that a little bit?
Well, there are many stories like that that fit that kind of descriptor, but I'm guessing you're referring to the young man who was in his early 20s when he came to work with us. And he had tried all kinds of devices to try to communicate, and they all didn't work for him because he had very severe scoliosis because of his cerebral palsy, and he couldn't talk, he couldn't hold his head up, he couldn't control any of his limbs. So all the usual solutions that one would prescribe really didn't work for him. Now his mom was adamant that he understood what was going on. He had no school reports to verify that he understood because he couldn't be tested or evaluated in school. And his mom told us that he reads actually. He reads electronic books, and all they want to do is be able for him to turn the pages on his own, so that he doesn't have to wait for his mom to come and hit the button to turn the next page. So we worked with him for over 2 years, and we found out that he could control his mouth. He could open and close his mouth intentionally and voluntarily. So we built a technology basically to detect his mouth opening and closing, and then trained him to open and close his mouth on cue. So we created a game for him, so he was playing a video game and open and close his mouth to collect points. And so after several months of training, we put in front of him an on-screen keyboard. And at this point, we didn't know if he had any level literacy, right? Because as I said, there was no evidence from his school records. And we told him how it worked. The computer's going to scan letter by letter, and all you got to do is open your mouth to pick the letter that you want to type. And so he starts typing, and he types M-U-T-H. And we all get so excited. He said he's controlling the computer over his mouth. He's typing mouth. But he wasn't finished. There was a pause, and he kept typing 2 more letters, E-R. He typed mother. At age 25, he called out to his mom for the very first time. His mom waited a quarter century for her little boy to call out to her. And so that was just an absolutely beautiful moment. And so many times there are stories like this. I collect them. I call them first word stories, where we discover the humanity of the person. Yeah. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you. Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, for sure. Kevin, you started as a Timmy. We talked about that, and now the president and CEO of Easter Seals Ontario. That's an amazing journey. I'm sure you could entertain us for an hour with all the things. But what are some of the successes that you've been part of since 2017 with your team, and things that are happening with Easter Seals and that you've been part of?
Well, again, and I'm very thankful I have a lot of my leadership team here today supporting today's event. But there was a number since 2017. The world has gone through a lot of different challenges. One of the things that I was very fortunate to take advantage of as a child is I got to go to an Easter Seals camp for 8 summers as a kid, where I learned life skills and independence and made a lot of great friends. And learning that having a disability was not going to be a big challenge in a lot of ways, because there was a lot of other kids that were dealing with far greater challenges. And so sharing that. But coming in, and then once the pandemic hit, for the first time in the 80-plus years history of the camp, we had to close. And so our team rallied. We created a virtual platform so that we could keep the kids entertained amongst themselves through various games and programs. And it allowed us for 2 years to get the kids back to camp where it's just happy days. That's probably one of the biggest things, and again, in today's world, those of us that are in the non-for-profit charitable sector, it's a tough market out there. There's so many great organizations, but most importantly, with the economic times that we're going through, being an organization that's been around for 103 plus years now, we're very fortunate. We've got a great donor base who continue to support us, but you keep working hard to keep that going. But I wanted to quickly share, like, next year, next February, will be 50 years since I was the Easter Seal Timmy. And it's incredible, yeah.
And he still has all his hair, too. Like, that's the unfair part.
But for those of us who have been around for a while, I mean, in this exact hotel, annually we have our Consummate Sports Celebrity Dinner, which will be the 75th coming up next March. But I remember vividly being carried in on the shoulders of Whipper Billy Watson and in front of 1,200 people at 12 years of age. There's not a more scarier moment in your life. But I have to tell you, I remember quite vividly the moment that I got hoisted up and put on Whipper's shoulders. He put his big arm around my legs. I knew I was in the safest place possible. I wasn't going anywhere.
That's awesome. Thank you. Well, we're going to go from a wrestler to a curler. And something happened last week, Ina, in London, Ontario, that felt like a breakthrough for wheelchair curling. What can you tell us about the significance of the first ever Grand Slam of wheelchair curling?
Yes, very first time being included, a wheelchair division in the Grand Slam was a great step forward for our sport. They have a high profile, the Grand Slam does, and so bringing us in enabled us to have a little bit higher profile as well, and hopefully brings a lot of awareness for wheelchair curling to people around the country. I think it probably people around the world as well, and encourages more disabled people to take up hopefully wheelchair curling, but if not wheelchair curling, wheelchair sports of some sort.
Didn't you play some sort of a game with some of like Rachel Homan's team or something? Tell us about that.
Well, actually, my game was with the Horgan brothers, and we won our game, just to say. Well, actually, you shouldn't say that, we tied. But it was amazing to get together with the other athletes and for all of us to play in the same venue on the same ice. I think we surprised a few of them that, hey, we can make a few shots. So, yeah, it was a really fun experience, and I hope that they all enjoyed it as much and we can repeat it again in the near future.
Mike Harris told me once about how hard wheelchair curling is because you don't have the sweepers to make up for your mistakes. Because when you throw this, like, there's no sweeping. And so if you really blundered, there's no fixing it. It'll go into the bumper on the side, like me bowling or whatever.
That was one of the great things about it. We could see how well they could sweep our rocks. And yeah, there is a great advantage to that.
That's cool. All right, that's good. Okay, I know we're going to keep moving on, but I want to ask one more question to each. Dr. Chau, can you tell us about the virtual music instrument, the VMI? It sounds fascinating.
Yeah, sure. That was a technology we developed 20 years ago, at least 20 years, probably more than that now. But it was really out of the observation that children at that time really didn't have an opportunity to participate in making music. And so we wanted to create a tool that basically would allow children of all abilities to play music. And so at the time it was quite advanced technology. Nowadays, I mean, there's all kinds of computer vision technology that can do the same thing. But we basically built a system that used a camera to monitor the movements of the individual, and it could translate any of those movements into music. So basically we demarcated the space around the child. So like here might be, the note C, here's D, here's E, and they could use whatever part of their body they wanted to, they could control. So it could be their hands, it could be, their eyes, it could be blinking. So whatever movement they could do. And what we discovered was quite amazing was that many of these children actually had music affinity. And I remember one little boy, he was 8 years old at the time, and the music therapist showed him, like the notes for Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. And immediately after that, he imitated it and played the same melody. It was unbelievable. He had like perfect pitch. He had a beautiful, affinity for music. And his parents were standing there, awestruck. It's like, how's he doing that? Right? They didn't even know that he liked music. And I was most touched by the moment when that same little boy was interviewed by the media because he was making quite a big splash with his music making. He had a repertoire of like 30 songs. And he introduced himself, and said, my name is Kajan, I'm a musician. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Kevin, I know you've done so many speeches. We heard probably 1,000 in your career to share a message. And I'm wondering that if you can say what message you find that resonates the most with your audiences today in 2025. And maybe how has that changed?
You know, for me and for a number of kids that we support through Easter Seals, it's about providing or allowing the opportunities. I always say that an individual with a disability, no matter what disability, you would be amazed at what they can achieve by given an opportunity. You know, as the doctor has shared with us, so many hidden talents. You know, loyalty when it comes to the workforce. Like, there's so many factors that, you know, the individuals just want an opportunity. And that's the one thing that, you know, I try to strive to make sure, you know, get the education the best as you can, but, you know, don't be afraid to ask. You know, it's quite often, you know, we come to a door or we come to a barrier and we're afraid to ask for support. But don't be afraid to ask, because again, that door not only opens from a physical standpoint, but also from a social standpoint, because now a conversation can start, and you never know where that's going to take an individual from that moment forward.
Yeah, it's step one, right? You're helping. That's awesome. Ina, another incredible honor in your career was being named, and we heard David mention it, Canada's flag bearer, along with Greg Westlake, for Beijing 2022. Most of us can only imagine what that felt like, but what are some of the fondest memories you have from that whole experience? Because it would have gone from the moment you found out to the moment you came into the stadium, and then all the other steps as well.
Well, it's a huge honor to be asked in the first place. It was my 4th Games, so I had experienced opening ceremonies from behind the flag and appreciated the people that were carrying the flag. So to actually get asked was a huge honor, and then to be sharing it with Greg Westlake was an amazing experience too, because we've been to 4 games at the same time. And I would like to say it brings you in more where it was my journey before, or my team's journey as just a participant at Paralympics. This made it feel like you were part of everybody's journey, and you were leading them to their finest moments and encouraging them as a flag bearer, showing the rest of the world this is Canada's athletes. And so it was a very proud moment to be out in front of all those amazing athletes leading their journey.
Wow, that's awesome. And I saw your skipper is here, Mark Eidson. And what will the next few months look like for your team as you prepare for Milan Cortina?
Going forward, on Tuesday, we're going to be leaving for Switzerland and Scotland to play some international teams. And then in November, we'll be going to Prague, play some more international teams. Mostly we'll see a good bunch of the field that will be in Paralympics. November 17th is when we will be announcing the Paralympic teams, so that'll be great news for all of us to find out who is going. And then one more competition in Leduc, and we're off to Cortina somewheres at the end of February, so
awesome.
Love to be there.
Well, we wish you the best, and again, we want to thank all of you, and we want to congratulate one more time our 2025 inductees into the Canadian Disability Hall of Fame. Thank you all. David's going to come back up. And if we could get Maria to come back up as well, that'd be great for photo time. Okay. While our inductees make their way back to their seats, I will scramble through my notes. Up next, the King Clancy Award recognizes individuals whose outstanding accomplishments have helped to increase public awareness about the potential of persons with disabilities. Through their efforts, these individuals have inspired others to reach for their dreams. The Canadian Foundation for Physically Disabled Persons established the King Clancy Award in 1986, almost 4 decades ago, to commemorate the contributions of King Clancy, remember him, the Maple Leaf great, as an inspirational humanitarian. We're honored to present the 2025 King Clancy Award to 5 recipients who could not join us at the Great Valentine Gala last February because of sporting international qualifications. And so to present these awards, I'd like now to call George Presbolowski and Tony White, today's event co-chairs and directors of the CFPDP, and Jane Shannon, Director, Seniors and Accessibility Programs for Scotiabank, to the stage. In addition to being a diamond sponsor for the 32nd Annual Canadian Disability Hall of Fame Induction Luncheon, Scotiabank has been a generous, ongoing partner in CFPDP's Podium funds since 2004. The foundation created the Podium Fund to provide financial rewards to athletes who win medals at the Winter and Summer Paralympic Games. Combining this with new funding from the Canadian Paralympic Committee, Canada's medal-winning Paralympians, in some cases, now receive more medal funding money than some of the Olympians. Pretty amazing. George, Tony, and Jane will join me for the King Clancy Award and Podium check presentations for our Paris Paralympic medalists. The 2025 King Clancy Award recipients with us today are from swimming and athletics. Our first King Clancy Award winner was a bronze medalist at the Paralympic Games in Paris last summer in the 100-meter butterfly. But not resting on her laurels, she just returned from the World Championships in Singapore, where she matched that with another bronze in the 100 fly, plus a silver in the 100 backstroke. From the Oakville Aquatic Club, Katie Cosgriff. Our next winner is from Surrey, British Columbia. He broke 6 Canadian records at the 2024 Paralympic Trials and won world record. Then went to Paris and was a gold medalist at the Paralympic Games in the 50-meter freestyle. Congratulations to Sebastian Masabi. Our third King Clancy winner is from St. Albert, just outside Edmonton, Alberta. In Paris last summer, just a few days before his 17th birthday, he won a silver medal in the 400-meter freestyle in Canadian record and continental record time. He also just returned from Worlds in Singapore with hardware silver in the 200-meter individual medley. Congratulations to Big Reed Maxwell. I told you he was big. George is actually 6'2", so I mean that shows you a lot. He's joining the Raptors, George says. Our next King Clancy Award winner was born and grew up in Saskatoon. She is a 3-time Paralympian who took home a bronze medal in the pool in the 100 backstroke from Paris 2024. She's a 4-time medalist at the World Championships, including 2 golds from the Saskatoon Lasers Swim Club. Congratulations to Shelby Newkirk. Our final King Clancy Award winner is from the sport of athletics. Through much trial and tribulation, this Toronto boy qualified for his first Paralympic Games in Paris in his last chance to do so, and then had a massive throw in the discus over 53 meters and came home from Paris with a silver medal. Congratulations to Jesse Zessau. Okay, now I'm going to ask Shelby Newkirk to share some thoughts on behalf of the athletes.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm just going to have my notes here. My memory is pretty poor. On behalf of the athletes here, I just want to say a heartfelt thank you for this award and for recognizing Canadian Paralympic medalists in this way. To have so many people cheering us on and not only raising awareness of the Paralympics, but celebrating it, is so encouraging for both current athletes representing our country as well as future Paralympic athletes. Seeing the Paralympics grow to become more and more of a household name every year is so exciting, and I truly want to thank you all for being a part of that. So thank you all for this honor and for celebrating Canadian Paralympic achievement.
And I think we're going to try to get a photo here. Can we maybe come on this side of the podium? Would that work? If everybody can just snuggle in here. Thanks, everybody. Congratulations. So again, we want to congratulate all of our 2025 King Clancy Award winners. And now I'd like to pass the baton and the microphone to George Presbylowski and Tony White, who will give their remarks on behalf of the Canadian Foundation for Physically Disabled Persons. And I want to thank them both for their years of service. Sometimes, rarely, they're on the stage with a microphone and get recognition. They do 99% of their work behind the scenes. So we thank you both for doing that.
Rob, that was very kind, but it's more like 9.9% because of the people that we're going to recognize in a few moments. You know, just before I go to the script that I have to share with everybody as we're ending today's luncheon, I wanted to ask how many people watched last night's game? Wasn't that phenomenal? Do you feel like a proud Torontonian today? All right. How about a little bit of an impromptu? I was hoping Beverly was going to sing this song, but unfortunately she didn't have a chance to. But if everybody would join me just in the chorus, okay? Ready? Okay. Blue Jays, let's play ball. Oh, yeah. And to the New York media, who prior to this series predicted, and we checked this in the Times, in the New York Post, other sports writers, that the Yankees were going to win in 4. Well, we have to ask ourselves, what does humble pie taste like? Yeah, bring it on. As co-chairs of today's luncheon, Tony and I have a few final remarks to share with you. We want to begin by congratulating one more time the 3 2025 Hall of Fame inductees. We're so proud of everything you have achieved and the difference you have made for our country. Your participation in the fireside chat provided all of us with some really interesting additional insights about each of you and the phenomenal work that you do and achievements that you have made. A special shout out and thank you to the Honorable David Crombie for his outstanding leadership of our selection board for 32 years since the creation of the Hall of Fame. David has been a steady guiding force helping to shape and strengthen this unique entity. Join me in just thanking David one more time. Ladies and gentlemen, the mayor with a heart of gold. We also applaud the members of the selection board that David introduced, who spend many, many hours reviewing numerous nominations, brought some thoughtful energy to the process, and deal with the challenging task of selecting only 3 inductees out of a pile this large, right, Scott? We celebrate and thanks Rob Snoek for being an amazing MC today. That was a great fireside chat, by the way, Rob. His skill and warmth not only brought today's event to life and kept everything flowing smoothly, but Rob, it was very insightful what you were able to get out of the 3 inductees to share with all of us today.
They
to
had lots to say.
understand why they are indeed inductees. And Tony and I want to encourage everyone here to visit the Canadian Disability Hall of Fame. Does everybody know where it is? Well, you would find it located on the main floor of Metro Hall at 55 John Street, just across the street from the Princess of Wales Theatre, just on the south side of King Street, and west of Roy Thompson Hall. And when you visit and you walk through this main floor, you will be impressed in viewing the 130 plus inductees that are on those walls. And you'll be able to read something about why, in fact, they are on that particular wall. So now I want to just turn it over to you, Tony.
George, thank you very much. Thank you, George. I'm not as impromptu as you are, so I won't be leading cheers for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Same score.
That's right. Our foundation is fortunate to have a very dedicated board of directors. Vim, George, Beverly, and I are proud to serve alongside many others, including Faye Blackwood and Brian McLean, who are with us here this afternoon. We also recognize the passion and commitment of David Ford, Maureen Harquail, and Mark Lecker, who could not be here today. It would be remiss not to thank the three people who do the heavy lifting for our initiatives. It's not just George and me doing it all. Rob Ham has been with Vim and the foundation for more than 35 years. I see him sitting back there, taking on countless tasks, quite literally thousands, with patience and dedication. It's no exaggeration to say we could not do what we do without Rob. Christine Payne, she's here somewhere, running around, back and forth, works tirelessly behind the scenes, making all of us look good today. Today's event is a testament to her brilliance, energy, organizational skills, and diplomacy. Next, she will move straight into producing our great Valentine Gala, while continuing to support Vim and our board of directors in countless other ways. The newest member of our team, Dale Heckman, also here today, has been an invaluable addition to our Seat at the Table program, leading research that supports our advocacy and outreach efforts. She also helped today's event run smoothly. Thank you, Dale. We also thank our many volunteers who make this event possible. Jan Verboom, Clarissa Gregorio, Cassandra Federbuz, Nicole Alassari, Fatima Kanji, TK Keslick, Lisette Morales, and Dion Pinnell. Finally, I want to thank the man who has made all of this possible. Anyone know who it is? My dear friend and longtime associate, the Honorable Vim Kochar. From the beginning, Vim, you have guided this work, and you remain the greatest champion and friend of Canada's disability community has ever known. Thank you from all of us.
Thanks, gentlemen. It's almost time for us to say goodbye, but not quite. First, it's time for our door prize, soon, in a moment. Before that, I want to remind you our next foundation event is the 42nd annual Great Valentine Gala on February 14th. It's actually on Valentine's Day in 2026. My good friend Scott Russell will return as the gala host, celebrating the disability community, and will include a special send-off for our Paralympic athletes who are headed to the Paralympic Winter Games in Milano Cortina in March. We want to thank the Canadian Disability Hall of Fame Organizing Committee and our amazing volunteers, which George just mentioned and Tony mentioned. We want to thank the Board of Directors of the Canadian Foundation. Your dedication and commitment appreciated. And thank you, everyone, for coming. One more item of business, though, before we let you go, and that is our door prize. Who's going to help me come up here with this? Do this. So again, the door prize, a one-night stay, and almost everyone is still here, so you can win, here at the beautiful Fairmont Royal York, and our winner is Cassandra. Am I allowed to draw? Yeah? Do I have the authority? Okay. Reach in here. Unlock this. It's all very complicated. Okay. Did I do it fairly? I think so. Okay. Oh, I like this card. It has Braille on it. But I can't read it that way. Thank you. This one goes, the one-night stay here at the beautiful Fairmont Royal York goes to Sheena Hill, Manager of Client Engagement at CDBIS. Nice. Deafblind Community Services. Sheena, are you here? Oh no, Sheena. Sheena is here. Yes, come on down. You're the next winner. I believe Rob has your envelope right here. Oh, yes, here it is, the official handover. Sheena, enjoy, and congratulations. Well done. Wait, more photos. You're famous now, so we have to do this. Congratulations, Sheena. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you so much for being here, for being part of this. Please take the Why Not magazine with you, learn more about our inductees and the foundation, and don't forget we are always looking for next year's inductees. So please send us your nominations, and we'll go through that process. And again, visit the hall at Metro Hall, and you'll be amazed at what you see. Right now, we say goodbye, and we'll see you at the Great Valentine Gala in February. God bless.